Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the September 10th, 2024 Development Review Commission hearing. The Development Review Commission is created to hold public meetings and hearings to provide analysis and recommendations to the City Council regarding general land use policies and applications where the Commission has recommendatory power, and to render final decisions on specified applications where the Commission has final decision-making power, including but not limited to all aspects of proposed and future development. The Development Review Commission recognizes that the creation of a desirable environment throughout the city for residents, businesses, and industry is a prime requisite for the interdependence of land values, aesthetics, and good site planning by promoting harmonious, safe, attractive, and compatible development that is therefore considered being the best interest of public health, safety, and general welfare. Any person aggrieved by a final decision of the Development Review Commission may file an appeal to the City Council within 14 calendar days after the Development Review Commission has rendered its decision. Development Review Commission recommendations to the City Council are not final decisions. Tonight with us on the Commission, we have on my right Commissioner Stephen Richter, Rhiannon Corbett, Robert Miller. To my left, Commissioner Joe Forte, Linda Spears, and Barbara Lloyd. With us tonight from city staff, is Jeff Tamilevich, Ryan Levake, Michelle Dalkey, Diana Kaminsky, Ambika Adarki, Jacob Payne, Lucas Jensen, Joanna Berry, and Eddie Garcia. If there's anyone here tonight wishing to speak on a specific item that we are hearing, you will please fill out a card. They're located over here by, and some over here. Okay, so we've got them on both sides. Fill out one of those cards and bring it to Joanna Berry. And you'll be given 3 minutes to speak. Tonight, we have planned a consent agenda. So our consent agenda will be voted on by the Commission without hearing the case. And tonight we have agreed during our study session to include items number 4A, which is Priest property. Was there anyone here tonight wishing to speak about Priest property? Okay. So we will hear that one. We'll pull that from the consent agenda. And so rounding out our consent agenda, the only item on our consent agenda would be the Dealer's Depot. Was there anyone here tonight wishing to speak on that from the public? Okay, seeing none, we will keep that on our consent agenda. All right. Item number 2 has been postponed to our September 24th meeting, which would just be the consideration of meeting minutes from the August 27th, 2024 regular and study session meetings. Okay, now I would entertain a motion for our consent agenda.
Move approval of the consent agenda as presented.
Okay, it was been moved by Commissioner Miller. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Richter is seconded. All those in favor, please raise your hand. And okay, that passes unanimously. All right. Okay, we will move on to item number 4A, which is Priest property. Would the applicant please approach the dais and present your case? Oh, they're online. Okay.
I got a little confused there for a second. I didn't have permit to unmute my microphone. I sent over a presentation earlier today or late tomorrow, I don't remember, to our reviewer. I don't know if that's available to you, or should I just present it in my screen? Oh, perfect.
Is this Ms. Contreras?
Yes.
Okay, I think we have your presentation up.
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
ask us to push the slides forward. When you're
Okay,
ready.
you can push the slide forward, please.
Okay,
As you all
please-
well
sorry
know,
to
I-
interrupt. Please state your name and city residence.
Yes, my name is Ana Contreras, and I'm in Phoenix. My office is located in Phoenix, on the address presented on the presentation.
Okay, you can please
Uh,
proceed.
Yeah, the reason that I'm presenting right now is because I am applying for use permit due to the fact that we are remodeling this home and adding two additional bedrooms and bathrooms, which requires for us to have more parking. Unfortunately, due to regulations, we cannot have it on the front, so we are asking if we could have it on the side setback, which doesn't really present any movement to the home as it is right now. You can move on to the next slide, please. As you can see, that is the current home with the proposed elevation, and the parking spaces are on the north towards 6th Street. We already have a driveway there, so it wouldn't really affect the property nor the views that much. This home is being rented and has been rented since 2017, so there has never been more than 3 cars at the property at the time. You can move on to the next slide. Thank you. As you can see, we already have a driveway there, and it already accommodates the 3 parking spaces. So there won't be no additional construction from the addition to the parking spaces on the side setback. And then if you move on, you can see that even if we do add that parking spaces on the side setback, the additional 2 parking spaces, one of them will be covered by the existing CMU wall. So it doesn't really bring any more noise, visual noise to the house in any way that it would from additional parking. And you can also see as well that most of the neighbors park on the street. So we wouldn't contribute to that traffic in any way. You can move on to the next slide. Thank you. And that's just like another view from the home. All of these pictures and evidence is also presented on the project narrative that we send over. So yeah, next slide, please. This is again a residential project. There are no business hours, no employees. It has been rented from a while now, so that wouldn't change anything from the current property. Next slide, please. Again, any potential impacts to the home or to the neighborhood, this use permit will not contribute to either traffic, nuisance, control of disruptive behavior, neighborhood impact, or even compatibility, since we are not doing any major renovations to the front or side of home. We just want to have that use permit to add that parking space area on the side setback. Next slide, please. In conclusion, we do believe that the proposed renovation and parking enrichment will not be detrimental to the persons residing or working in the vicinity. We won't be contributing to any parking towards the roads on the home, neither the front or side. So we truly do believe that this is a welcome change to the property. And that'll be it from my part. If you do have any questions, please just let me know and I'll be happy to answer them.
Questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you very much. We'll call you back after the public comments.
Okay.
Okay, now, Mr. Payne, if you would, oh. Luke, oh, I'm sorry, I've looked at the wrong one. Mr. Jensen.
All right. Thank you, Chair, members of the commission. Lucas Jensen, Planner 2, Community Development. I'm here presenting on the Priest property as the project planner. This request is a use permit to allow 3 required parking spaces in a combination of the front yard and street side setbacks. It's located on the northeast corner of University and Priest Drive off of the Priest access road there, at the corner of Priest and 6th Street, as you saw in some of their images. This is the image of the site plan that you saw. Just to clarify, this is a use permit for 3 required parking spaces in the street side yard setback as well as the front yard setback. So it does have required spaces being located in both the street side and front yard setback, which both require a use permit. You'll see that they're located on the northwest corner of the site. Staff and I did meet with our transportation department to see if there were any conflicts for site visibility around the area, and they said that this location for parking is adequate for this site. The requirement for these 3 required parking spaces comes from the remodel of the interior of the home, so there's no changes to the existing footprint of the building. It's an interior remodel creating 6 bedrooms to require those 3 parking spaces for a single-family home. This is the floor plan, proposed floor plan. You can see there's 6 bedrooms there, 2 and a bathroom being added to the space on the north side of the property. North is oriented to the left on this screen. Similar context photos showing the site that we saw from the applicant as well. The 3 required spaces, 2 would be in tandem on the street side yard, and then 1 would be located in the front yard there. The approval criteria for the use permit, staff found that the request generally conforms with the approval criteria. I can open that up for questions if you have any about these specific points. No neighborhood meeting is required for the use permit process. Staff did receive 1 call in opposition for the project. Staff's recommendation is to approve subject to the standard conditions of approval listed on the report. And I would be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Any questions for staff? Okay. Thank you for the presentation. All right, now we will open up the public comment period of the meeting. So if you're here to speak on this item tonight, please fill out one of these cards and bring it up to Joanna Berry. I have one filled out already from Norm. If you would like to approach the dais and state your full name and city of residence for us.
My name is Norm Nipros. I live at 713 South Priest Drive here in Tempe, and I've lived there for 35 years. Me and my wife have lived there for 35 years, or over 35 years. And I think the use permit, which is focused only on the parking situation, I know we've talked about the remodeling and all that, and but the use permit only focuses on the parking situation. And what Mr. Jensen pointed out, what she pointed out confirms what Mr. Jensen told me, which is that there's no construction involved. There's no changing of the front property. It's just a matter of having a use permit to allow to go on to the next step of the proposed remodeling of the existing home, existing footprint, which is not what we're here to discuss, which is fine. But I do want to go on record, since it has been discussed, I do want to go on record that I'm not at all happy with a 6-bedroom miniature apartment complex there. I've already got one right next to me. So this is a frontage road. Just stop me if you don't want me to keep talking, but I don't want it there. I don't want that 6-bedroom there. We've already got one right next to me. And it's a frontage road, it's narrow. It's not a good situation. I'm not happy with that. But I do have a question for for whoever. How many it says 3 bedrooms, but now the lady, Ms. Contreras, said something about 2 bedrooms and a bath. So which is it? Is it 3 bedrooms, or is it 2 bedrooms and a bath? So is it going to be a total of 5 bedrooms and an additional bath, or is it going to be 6 bedrooms and no additional bath? How many baths are there going to be? How many bedrooms are there going to be there, once and for all? And how many baths are there going to be there? So if you got 6 bedrooms and only 2 baths, well, I mean, it's something I hope that Mr. Lucas will consider. But again, I'm talking outside of the use permit, which is only got to do with which is a precondition for going forward on the remodeling. So, but I just want to go on the record as saying that I'm not at all happy with that. That's my main reason for being here. And I got my question answered as far as construction of parking and all that, which it matches what Mr. Jensen said.
Thank you. Thank you for coming tonight. All right, was there anyone else here wishing to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none, I'd like to invite Ms. Contreras to respond to the questions or anything that she would like to respond to on those specific comments.
Of course. First of all, hi Norm. I do understand the concern. This is in no way going to be miniature apartment building. That is not the owner's intention at all. We are adding 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom, making the house a total of 6 bedrooms. So which one of them won't be used as a bedroom, it's planned to be used as an office. So I do want to retract my last statement. The house has been rented by the same person since January of this year, and that plans to remain the case. So there won't be any additional tenants planned for the near future at all. We just want to make the house more comfortable and add additional bedrooms. I think it's always a nice improvement to have more space arranged that way. Again, this is a meeting for the use permit for us, and we won't be changing the general view or traffic of the neighborhood from our point of view and our project. Again, the owner is already renting out the house since the beginning of the year, and he does have cameras installed that can show that no more than 3 cars are parked there at all times. So regarding the point of the use permit, that shouldn't be a concern. I hope this answers your question, hopefully.
Were there any other questions for the applicant? All right, anything, Mr. Jensen, that you want to add? Okay, thank you. Okay, with that, we will close the public comment period and move to commission discussion or motions. Commissioner Spears.
And I would like for staff to give us a presentation. We're seeing so many of these use permits, and how many of these are where the improvements have already been done, and we don't have any real control over it other than requiring them to have the use permits, but the improvements have already been done. I share some of the concerns about adding that many bedrooms on an existing footprint, particularly in Tempe and in those neighborhoods where we have a high demand for rental properties, and as families get smaller, there's something that doesn't seem to make a lot of sense here. That said, they are meeting the requirements for the use permit, and I just think that there's a bigger question that we need to address. So if that's something that maybe we can do in a study session, is have that conversation.
Yeah, I like that recommendation. I think, I don't know if there's maybe been a step up in enforcement but I think it is important that anything that has been done outside of the permitting process gets reconciled and we move forward. So I know we see several of these where it's more asking for forgiveness than permission. I don't know if that's because of a step up in enforcement or what, but in general, I think it's a positive that we're reconciling these things that are out of code, out of operating without a permit, and hearing them. So, but it would be nice to have a presentation during study session. So, any other comments or motions? Oh, Ms. Dalkey.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And just the perfect timing, because actually Mr. LeVake told me earlier that he would like to have as a study session item at your next meeting a topic of use permits and parking in the front yard, so we can get into that discussion for you in a couple of weeks.
Great, great, good timing. Comments, motions? A long night.
Well, I'll make a
Commissioner
make a
Lloyd?
motion, I just don't have the case number.
Oh.
But I will make a motion to approve PL 240248.
Okay, there's a motion for approval of PL 20240248. Is there a second?
Second?
Seconded by Commissioner Forte. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, and that passes unanimously, I believe. Yes. All right. Thank you for the presentation. And we will move on to our last major agenda item, which would be item number 6A, Southwest Tempe. And the applicant is the City of Tempe.
Should we start?
Yes, please,
Okay.
welcome.
Yep. Good afternoon. Good evening.
Evening.
Chair Johnson and Commissioner members. For the record, Ambika Adhikari, Principal Planner, Community Development. With me is Jacob Payne, Senior Planner, Community Development. Today, we are here to talk about the Southwest Tempe Character Area Plan, also known as Character Area 6 Plan. This is the third time we've come to you. We came in the beginning in January 2024 when we just had a kickoff. Just to let you know that we're beginning the process. That was about 8 months ago, and then we came a couple months ago when we had a draft for the second time to give you an idea of how the plan looks like. And then now we have the final draft, and we're coming to you for this hearing. This is the document that you have a copy of, about 70 pages, user-friendly, and with a lot of pictures. So very briefly, let me see. Okay, I might be repeating a few things, and I'll be very quick, just to give you an idea that the character area planning process, and then Jacob will give the public consultation overview, and then I'll provide a highlight of the draft plan, which you have, just to make it easy for you. I'll spend a couple minutes, and then I'll also show you the adoption timeline, and then we'll wait for your recommendation. Okay, the planning process is the character area plans are based on compatibility with some of the council priorities as listed here: strong community connection, quality of life, sustainable growth and development, and there are many different performance measures that the character area plans cater to. And you've seen this many times. We've got 8 character area plans. This is the 7th one that we're completing, and there will be only one more left. The one that we're talking about today, the Southwest Character Area Plan, is the boundary and the map that is shown on the right. I'll go into a little more detail of that one more time. These are policy documents, as you very well know, but we take these documents as very important documents for anything that we get in terms of the project proposal or anything that the city does in terms of the investment in the area. We want to make sure that the principles outlined in the documents are adhered to. This is a good reference, and then we also make sure that it's community-driven and the community takes the ownership. As a matter of fact, on this final draft, we already have like 6 phone calls, and then Jacob will talk a little more detail. Many of the comments that we received were very positive. They gave us a good feedback, even some of the edits that the way that they want it, because it's their plan that is going to be with them for quite some time. And Jacob will talk about the public outreach process.
Thank you. Good evening, Commission. So to give you kind of a quick overview of the last 8 months about what Ambika and I have been busy doing. As he mentioned, we kicked off this process in January of this year. When we kick off these kind of planning efforts, we do this with a public meeting that we hosted in a virtual and an in-person format to try and reach as much of an audience as we can. And in tandem with that, we'll open a survey. So you'll see that as an ongoing theme. As we enter different phases, we'll have a community-wide meeting and open a survey. So our first survey and our first set of meetings were, at a high level, visioning with the community as to what types of priorities and things that they might want to see in a plan like this. So we hosted that meeting at the Wood Elementary School in the area and followed it up with several info tables to try and catch residents and other people who might be passing through on trails or at parks in the neighborhood and get their information, let them know that we're working on this plan and feel out what types of values we can incorporate. So beginning in March, we moved into kind of our second phase of this planning effort, which was more of a tangible prioritization of certain elements and goals. So we opened that with another survey and an activity that we hosted virtually and in person. I explained this to you last time when we were here during the study session, but the dotocracy activity is essentially a dot democracy, where everyone who takes place in our activity is given a certain number of dots, which they can allocate to certain themes and planning principles that we heard from earlier sessions. So using those dots, we got an idea as to what priorities we really needed to emphasize as part of this plan. In this phase as well, we did our focus group meetings, meeting with businesses in the area as well as faith and nonprofit organizations. And we also heard a lot of feedback that there's a lot of seniors in this area who feel like they might be underrepresented in some of these kind of planning efforts. So in March, we hosted a focus group specifically for the senior community in the area. And then also, some more info tables at commercial plazas, parks, and also apartment buildings. As there's a higher percentage of renters in this area, we wanted to make sure that we weren't missing that demographic as part of the community involvement for this plan. In our phase 2 as well, that's when we did our first round of boards and commissions, this one included. We also went to the Neighborhood Advisory Commission, the Transportation Commission, Historic Preservation Commission, Sustainability Commission, Parks and Rec, just to make sure that we're listening to all of the relevant city boards and commissions to involvement on a plan like this. And then our last phase that we are right now at the end of is the drafting phase. So we released our first draft of this plan back in June. And with that, we had a survey open where we actually got a lot of fantastic feedback, point by point, people telling us things that they wanted, amended in the document in Ambika. And I did our best to make sure that those comments were considered and integrated as appropriately. We also hosted an in-person and virtual meeting to review the draft plan and its contents. It was at this point when we went and reached out again to those boards and commissions as a follow-up, now that we had a draft in hand, and did a couple more of various outreach at parks and other places in the area to get more comments on the draft itself before ultimately publishing a second revised draft in August, and then returning to this commission early in August, as well as the Neighborhood Advisory Commission and the Sustainability and Resilience Commission, making, again, a few more edits. Now we're at our September draft, which is the one that you have in hand, which should be the final, unless there's anything that we would like to see amended before it goes to council. And then just to kind of highlight some of the outreach coordination that we did, we always try our best to get as many people involved as we can. So we're always looking for ways to incentivize that. So this is just a couple examples of things that we did that are a little out of the ordinary playbook of planners to try and get community involvement. So we did a feature in the Wrangler News, which is a publication of wide distribution, especially in this part of town, as well as we did some incentives for participating in our surveys, giving away some movie tickets, just to make sure that we're giving folks a reason to interact with us and help us out with drafting a plan that ultimately is going to serve them. And with that, I'll give it back to Ambika, who'll give you a highlight of the document itself.
Thank you, Jacob. So Chair Johnson and Commission members, again, I just wanted to give you a quick overview of the draft, the September draft that Jacob talked about. And basically, it has, the way that it is structured, there's an introduction, discussion about the location, introduction to what the character area is. The county islands have been identified within the character area. And also we have 3 adjoining jurisdictions, which is the town of Guadalupe, city of Phoenix, and city of Chandler. We actually had a meeting with them, and then we've also kind of discussed on how things could be coordinated in terms of the planning efforts. And then we go for the purpose of the plan, then major traits of the area that we kind of define. And then we also have several pages. We call it a brief history, but I think it's about 7 pages long history because, it's on the record for many people to read it all the time. And then what Jacob described, those more than 30 events and meetings and presentations, we've also kind of summarized that as a plan development through public process. We do want to make it a community-driven plan. And then at the end, basically the actual content of the plan is the 14 different placemaking, design, and planning principles, starting from climate change and extreme heat management, green infrastructure and green building, energy conservation, landscape and shade, open spaces, public gathering spaces, walkable environment, preserving neighborhood character, canal side path design, historic preservation, mobility and connectivity, high quality building design and materials, affordable housing and aging in place, public art and public health friendly planning, especially after COVID, this is something that we've been adding. Those 14 elements are based on what we usually do in the other plans, but also what the people gave us a priority. So the previous plan may not have all of this, especially the climate change and extreme heat management is more new. And then so they gave us a priority through the 3 different public surveys that Jacob talked about. And based on that, we build on that, and every element is probably just a couple pages long. And then there's also kind of appendix to give you a flavor of how the area looks like and what the plan looks like, and so on. Here is just a glimpse of it. The whole document is with you, but basically each one of the principles of the 14 principles have a preamble and goals in the beginning, a couple paragraphs, and then the principles are listed A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then there are images which might be relevant, and then the one that I'm showing you right now is just the example pages, so they're not full. So for example, principle number 4, landscape and shade, is structured with that preamble in the beginning, and then the principles starting with letter A, B, and so on. Same thing with the canal side path design. There are 3 canals in this area. It's very important. People really gave us a lot of highlight and priority for these canal areas. They even basically offered to volunteer to clean it up and take out the weeds and make it look better. So we have expanded that quite a bit out here. There are no historic properties right now there except for the Guadalupe Cemetery, but as the time goes, there will be buildings that will become historically eligible. So we do have a historic preservation element also. Mobility and connectivity, like Jacob mentioned, was very important, specifically for the seniors. They even told us what kind of circulator that they want and what kind of transit stations and shade and the connectivity. So we have crafted the thing based on what they wanted. And when they looked at the draft, they called us, they gave us something in writing, and we've also kind of incorporated all of them on how the connectivity should go. That gives us a direction to the city in terms of its investment and also for the future planning. And also the high quality building design and material is very important. So we provided some examples and materials and so forth. Just the examples. Affordable housing and aging in place. Specifically, this area is older than the citywide demographic, and people are interested in trying to age in place and also have the affordable housing in this place. So we discussed that, and of course, public art is always important. And so all those 14 elements are there. Here are only 4 or 5 that I showed you as an example, just a couple of pages. Now the timeline and next step, you've seen this before. We started in January 24th, 2024. Now we are in the 8th month, and then the hearing today for the recommendation, we go to October 1 to the City Council because this is a policy document. It gets adopted by ordinance, only 1 hearing is required. And with that, the draft, again, we took time to listen to people. We released the draft on June 14th. We put out the revised draft on August 2nd, and then we presented that draft to the select commissions, including you. And then now we are here with you with the September draft, and then we go to October 1 to the council. This is the team, myself, Jacob Payne, Lucas, of course, Ryan, Jeff always oversee us. Other people also, other planners also help us out from other department. And Sana Warner and Brenda Clark make all that community-driven process very possible, those 30 different meetings and events that we had. And from Economic Development, Deputy Director April Coroner has helped us out on this process. If you have any questions, Jacob and I will be very happy to respond to that.
Any questions for staff? No? I just want to say thank you for all the work that you put into this. I know these are very important guiding documents, and I believe there's one character area left, right?
One left.
Right, and then, so my question is bigger picture. When we're done with that last one, is there an effort to kind of start over and look at the existing character areas and see where to refresh them?
That's a good question. Jeff, unless you want to say, I can respond to it. Actually, that's a very good question because it's been like more than 10 years we began this process. And a couple of the character areas I think are due for update because so many things have changed and the situation has changed. So we've actually been discussing. The last one we'll probably do in 2025. And in 2025, we might even begin updating one or two of them.
Good.
Yep.
Nice work, thank you. We do have a couple public comments, so we'll call you back up after public comments.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we will now enter the public comment period. If you are here to speak about this tonight, please fill out one of these and bring it over to Joanna Berry. Right now I have two, and it looks like there may be one more coming. All right, so we'll start off with Veronica Gonzalez. Please come up, restate your name and city of residence, and just a reminder, there's a 3-minute speaking period. Thank you.
Veronica Gonzalez, Tempe resident for 44 years. The reason I'm here is I got a card.
If you, yeah, thank
The
you.
reason I'm here is because I received a card about the plan, and we were here, we were in front of you at the city council building about the Cabana and Kyrene. And in that discussion, I didn't talk at that time, but it came up about the train on just east of Kyrene and the traffic that backs up. And I don't see Chris here, but I spoke to him afterwards. The switching of the train tracks, when St. Luke's didn't want that switching up by them for the noise, they sent it down to us. No comment on us. It was just like, okay, the switching is going south. And so that train switches cars right there on Kyrene, and it backs up Kyrene traffic and Guadalupe traffic. And in that discussion, I don't know, I didn't hear anything about traffic on your plan right now, but there is a major traffic issue on that corner now because St. Luke's didn't want the train switching up by them. And so that was never brought up in any of the Cabana meeting, and I don't hear it here either. So it's kind of like we have this nice neighborhood, but now we can't get out of our subdivisions, and we're going to put 229 units on a corner that's going to add to that traffic. So I just wanted to bring it up here at when you're looking at this plan, and how do you figure traffic in this plan? Like, did that even come up in the surveys, or was anybody asked about the traffic? So that is why I'm here. I just wanted to make that very clear to you guys that we never were told that it was okay for the switching to come down south. And I know it's industrial around that railroad track, but there's neighborhoods that butt up to it. Pepperwood, Regal Homes, and all the housing that's around Kiwanis Park. That's all affected by it. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is William Gibson with Beth Thompson on deck. Mr. Gibson, if you can restate your name and city of residence.
William Gibson, Tempe. And I just want to, I reviewed the plan and want to compliment the planning staff on the great work. I'm very much in favor of it, so I'm especially, I want to emphasize a couple of sections, F.7 and F.12 that address the character area. And in F.7 it says, preservation of neighborhood character can be achieved by ensuring that new developments are incompatible with the existing character and scale of the surrounding built-up area. I think this is very important. Mr. Adhikari emphasized the fact that this isn't necessarily a regulatory document, but it must be paid attention to when projects like Cabana Kyrene are considered. And we did bring that up last time, but and we'll bring it up again in the future. In section F.12, it says new development should encourage home ownership opportunities for residents and should be compatible with character-defining context of surrounding neighborhoods, streets, and block character. Again, talking about the character of our neighborhoods and proposing large-scale apartments in some of these areas where the character of these neighborhoods have been established for decades. So I'm glad that these items were included in the document, and again, I compliment staff. I love this area. I've lived here for 40 years. I make a great use of the recreational trails all up and down the canals and so on. So I think you've done a great job. You've been very thorough, and I'm just speaking in favor of the plan. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and the last one I have here is Beth Thompson. If anybody else wishes to speak, please fill out one of these.
Hi, my name is Beth Thompson, and I'm a resident of Tempe. I just wanted to thank them for all their hard work. I've been part of the process from the very beginning when we bumped into them at Solea Park, and they said my dog was cute, so I fell in love with them. But we've been at every meeting. They've listened. A lot of the comments that I had are in there, such as improve the bike path, from Kiwanis Park to go into Tempe, because there's nothing there. It's not safe. But no, it's really wonderful. They listened. It's good. Reading it, I didn't know a lot of the history, which is pretty cool. So I appreciate everything they've done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, seeing no more public comments, if you'd like to come back up and address any comments that you've heard.
Thank you so much, Chair, and thanks everyone for speaking about the plan. I did want to talk very briefly, and maybe Ryan can add. The Kyrene Cabana is a project which is kind of, in the plan, we can suggest and give a policy about how we would like the area to look. But when people have private properties and they make an application for a certain type of development, there's a hearing process that goes through. And we did kind of mention that we have actually written in the plan that in that area, many people had wanted some kind of grocery or food mart. But for it, the private developer had to work for them. We did mention that in some of the initial meeting, and there's only so much that when people want to make an application for private development on a lot of property, we did do the design review to make sure that it was kind of in keeping with the scale. This area does have 70% of the renter population, quite a few multifamily residential and so on. So we try to make the best of it, but the plan remains for a long time. And then many things that we do, we try to bring them as much into the planning sort of, compliance and visibility as we want. Ryan, would you like to add anything on that particular project?
Thank you, Ambika. And I just want to add the question that came up regarding the railroad tracks and then backing up near Kyrene. That's some information we can forward on to our transportation division. And when they do a transportation master plan update, hopefully that's some areas that they can look at and see if they can address some of the traffic mitigation that occurs in that area. So our principal character area plans don't really focus on traffic mitigation. That's usually left for the transportation master plan, but we'll certainly forward on those comments so that they can look at that and maybe address some of those concerns in the future.
Thank you for that. Any other comments? Commissioner Lloyd?
Just one quick one that I want to piggyback on. First of all, great work from the staff. And when we're speaking about traffic mitigation, safety, usage of the multi-use canal path, someone who uses that canal a lot, and I think one of the residents mentioned, and I think it was also in the Cabana Kyrene discussion, is putting up one of those hawk lights at the crosswalk that's really an unprotected crosswalk there at Guadalupe, just east of Kyrene, I believe. So when we're looking at that and the traffic studies, I think that's something, just at least me personally, would like to make sure that that gets paid attention to as we move forward with this character area plan, the development, et cetera. So I just wanted to note that for the record. Thanks.
Other comments? Okay. just so we're following the process, I'll close out the public comment period then and move on to commissioner discussion or motions. Commissioner Lloyd?
I would make a motion to recommend the character area for Area 6, PL 240240.
Excellent. So Commissioner Richter.
Motion, second the motion.
Okay, so a motion has been submitted by Commissioner Lloyd and seconded by Commissioner Richter. Any other discussion or all those in favor, please raise your hand. All right, and that passes unanimously. Excellent. Well, thank you all for coming tonight. Were there any commission member announcements? None tonight. All right, how about city staff announcements?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Just to remind everybody that we're back at our normal location on the 24th. So thank you for accommodating the change of venue tonight. We appreciate it.
Regular location and regular time?
Regular time,
Yes,
yes,
okay.
sir. Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks, everyone. We are adjourned.